Welcome to FX Street. Thank you for coming. We're going to look at three DeFi cryptos that are, what as they say, going to the moon. They are popping up quite a bit and kind of analyzing how much higher can they go. Are there any risks to some imminent downside pressure? But before we get into that, I would encourage you to come over to YouTube, join our channel, hit that subscribe button, follow us on Twitter at FXS Crypto, and you can follow myself at Just Analysis 1. The first one we're going to take a look at, you can't find it on TradingView, and there's only a few exchanges that have it, but it's the Versus project. Sorry, VRSC. I was trying to remember the ticker symbol, VRSC, and this is the Bitcoin pair. From a daily Ichimoku perspective, it looks fairly strong. Technically, it is in an ideal bullish Ichimoku breakout right now. I actually have to change the color of that lagging span from that awful green color and just thicken it up a little bit so it's easier to see. But it's in an ideal bullish Ichimoku breakout. There was a Kumo twist that occurred just today while it was hitting these swing lows. So there is some definite activity pointing to higher prices, especially off of this pattern here. It was some people could draw that as a flag or a pennant. Either way, there's a lot of bullish activity that occurred, and you have these. I mean, this is not a crypto traded on any major exchanges. So, in fact, sometimes it's best just to get rid of the wick because when the bodies are sometimes going to provide a better idea of what's happening. So. Here at moving average too, but it's above the Kijun Sen, it's above the cloud, and so far it looks very much like it wants to continue higher. We want to look at some levels to look at where it may top out. It's not drawn on here, but there's a resistance cluster just shy of the 4200 level. That is also near the 1618 extension of the swing low here down at 1336 to the high here at 2800. That is where I would anticipate a lot of selling pressure to come in. But for right now, on the daily chart, it looks very much like it had the breakout above these highs here at 2480, and has fallen back into it, retested, moved higher. So yes, there are some very likely, and even the volume candle is red. But yeah, it's a hard one to read. It doesn't have a lot of volume, doesn't have a lot of participation, but it is up substantially compared to its peers in the DeFi space. The next one we're going to look at here is Serum. Serum has broken out above the cloud, and if it closes above the cloud on the daily chart here, that'll be the first time that, at least with this data, that has happened ever. And so that is a very bullish event. However, we should look at the distance that the current close is at, the current candlestick is at from the Tenkan Sen, which is a pretty good amount of range. So the upside momentum here may be limited because of that distance. Additionally, when you look at the RSI, it is in bull market conditions, and when an instrument is in bull market RSI conditions, the overbought levels are 80 and 90. So it's right up against 80. That is a zone to watch out for because it is so extended and it could face a lot of selling pressure right up against that psychological $3 level as well. So be on the lookout for that. As far as the downside risks, because of where the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen are at, if it closes around where it's at, they're going to slide higher. They're going to get closer to the top of the cloud, which is Senko Span B. That's the strongest level of support resistance within the Ichimoku system. And it's very, very likely that could hold as support. Going to the weekly chart, yeah, we don't even have a full, and we don't have really any Ichimoku levels for the weekly chart, but that's a pretty nice bounce there. Yeah, if there is some bullish continuation here, a retest of 270 is likely. It kind of matches up with the swing high back here, matches up with where the top of the Ichimoku cloud is at. And you'll probably see the Tenkan Sen get close to that if the Kijun Sen doesn't get up there pretty soon too. So there's a lot of reasons that you could see it top out here, but Man, a lot of these DeFi altcoins, they can just say screw you to oscillator levels and just continue to pamp higher and higher and higher. And I mean, it's the danger of trying to trade against you know parabolic rises and an underlying market that's got a lot of bullish activity going on, and it's just kind of increasing. This one is still very early into its move, despite the pretty dramatic rise it's had since the 14th of this month. But it could keep going higher very easily. And that brings us to our third and final one, Loop Ring. And Loop Ring's probably the most well known out of the two that we looked at. SRM and VRSC, especially VRSC is just not on a lot of exchanges, and Serum is on a few, but Loop Ring probably has a lot more news about it that comes out. It's on a lot more exchanges, and it's had a pretty dramatic drop. I mean, you look at the daily or the weekly chart here, going back to November. I mean, it's just like taken a nosedive. Where's the price measure from that all-time high down to the low, down 83.7%. Very reminiscent of what happened from late December 2018 into early February of 2019. That bear market that lasted forever and a day. But you look at it currently on the weekly, it's had a pretty nice spike higher here from the open. It's just kind of continued to move, and we're into Wednesday, so there's plenty of room for profit to be taken and for things to go down. But I mean, into Wednesday, the high of the week is very close to where the current close is. That's over 50% gain, and from the daily perspective, you have a fairly clear breakout above this, and it's inside the cloud now on the daily chart, which is a horrible place to trade. I affectionately call the cloud the place where trading accounts go to die. It has shifted into bull market conditions within the RSI, but it is overbought in the optics bands. It's getting close to overbought in the RSI. It needs to get to 80. It's not even at 70 yet, so just a hair below 70. And there is some regular bearish divergence developing on the composite index on the daily chart. So with the and let me get put the range bars on here. I just had to measure the fib levels on the weekly chart from the swing low to the strong bar, which is high of the strong bar, which is the week of December 10th. But yes, it's just below the 382 fib retracement. So yeah, 136 might be a tough nut for it to crack this week. Maybe even going into next week, because you've got 136. That's a 50% fib retracement. Then you have the top of the cloud there as well. That is going to be a tough zone to break above. When you look at the point of the 2021 volume profile, go back all the way to December there. Yeah, the next high volume node though doesn't really show up until the lower part of it, till $2.05. And the way we interpret volume profile is that where it's thin, we expect prices to move through it. So if the high volume node, let's assume that there's one here at $1.30, and the next high volume node doesn't show up till 207, because the volume profile is so thick, it acts like a vacuum. It gets sucked up into it, and prices like to move from one high volume node to the next. Then it's possible that 136, that 50% fib retracement in the cloud, just doesn't even get tagged. It gets tagged, but it doesn't really act as resistance. Would find that hard to believe, but definitely look for an ease of movement higher, especially if it closes above 136. That is going to open up Loop Ring for some major expansive moves. So there's a lot of technicals showing a lot of altcoins that have been down in the dumps, and that are more than 70% or more down. They are seeing some big drives up over the last couple of weeks, and momentum remains. It's likely to continue. So that does it for me on Loop Ring. As far as upside potential, before we probably look at this again next week, I would say that the 150 level is likely to be the stopping point, and that's where you might see selling pressure, and the downside risks are probably limited to the 85 cent range. So that does it for me on Loopring. Again, I encourage all of you to go to YouTube to join our channel, hit that subscribe button, follow us at FXS Crypto on Twitter, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.